God is our one true leader, and we are all his family. And may that be the same for every nation, where God is our one true leader, and we are all his family. However we see that. So, those are my prayers and those are my hopes. And hopefully we get there. Hopefully we find that with one another. Because what is life if we're not all free? And what is life if we don't all serve, in my opinion, God? People call God different things, but who are we if we're not the best that we can be? Is my question. And I always pray that we're the best that we can be. Because what else can you give the world than your best? What else should you give the world than your best? I always want to give my best. I always want to give my all. Now, sometimes do I fall short? Absolutely. Sometimes am I at my best? No. Sometimes I say things I don't mean. And sometimes I don't listen. And sometimes I could really be a lot better of a human being. Right? We all can. And I think that it's those of us that realize we can be better and work to be better, that's the beauty of this world. Is that if we can be better and we can do better, then we should. And that's on a big scale and on a small scale. When we can be better and we can do better, we should. We're not perfect. We will make mistakes. And it's in hopes that we surround ourselves with those that love us so much that even when we're a pain in the butt, they'll still find us. Even when we make mistakes, they'll still be there. Even when life gets hard, they'll be there to go through it with you. So this morning, I want to thank you all for being here. Because I know sometimes it's hard. I know sometimes it's hard to get up in the morning. It's hard to put on them shoes and to be the best that you can be. I know that. Sometimes it's hard to... Sometimes it's just hard. It's hard to see the forest through the trees. So however you came into the show this morning, I want to welcome you. I want to let you know you're appreciated, that you're safe, and that you matter. So welcome to Wake Up Call. Welcome to a place where hopefully we can give you something to smile about, something to be proud of, and something to just be happy about. Hopefully we could be a reminder today on the beauty of life and why it's so important to be yourself and to enjoy the time you have. Welcome to a show where sports meets life, where we're unafraid and unapologetic to speak about God and faith, and where I will always be myself and you will always get my best. Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Trust that if you can't trust much, you can trust this show to be the best that we can be. And to tell the truth and to be here for you. Because life gets hard. And it's my hope and my desire to make it a little bit easier for you today. Make you think a little bit more positively. Make you see a blessing that maybe you didn't see. And help you to turn a corner that maybe you haven't turned. We're here for only good. And I thank God every day that I have the opportunity to wake up and turn my microphone on and do what I love and love what I do every day and feel like I'm doing some good service to the world by trying to spread positivity and God and faith and bring us all together and make you laugh and make you think, maybe make you cry in a good way. So, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. And I'll give you my best. Inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, Cafe Kubal located for you on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 208 North Townsend Street, and 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse. They are also located on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, in that behemoth of a building that's really where all the roads converge to welcome you to Manlius. It's like a welcome building. Giant brown building with stripes on it. Can't miss it. They just opened up their parking lot with plenty more spaces. You can also find them inside of Galisanos Children's Hospital, and you can find them at their newest location, which is their first ever drive-through location. I've been waiting for Cafe Kubal to get a drive-through, and I'm so happy that they have, and very, very appreciative to the awesome, awesome work of Mr. Matt Goddard and the entire team at Cafe Kubal for their location on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road, which is a.k.a. Sweetheart Corners. And if you grew up in Syracuse, you know how nostalgic and how awesome Sweetheart Corners is. And no offense to the place that's there now next to Cafe Kubal, but I hope one day we could bring Sweetheart Markets back. I really do. And I'm so happy that Cafe Kubal is there and has a drive-thru for us to give us yet another wrinkle in the awesome and beautiful world that has been Cafe Kubal and will continue to be Cafe Kubal. So big shout out to them. We appreciate you all for being inside of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You're listening on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage. You're watching on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, which is being shared on facebook.com/livenowdt. And, of course, you're watching as well on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. So with that being said, we have an awesome show set up for you today inside of MaandPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. I'm very excited that on today's broadcast we will be welcoming two former Syracuse football players, and both of them former Syracuse defensive linemen, joining the show here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And those gentlemen joining the show, first is Eric Crume, and then he will be followed by Jay Bromley. So Eric Crume here at 9:15 a.m. Eastern Time, and Jay Bromley at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time, joining Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora to speak on name, image, and likeness in the future of college athletics. Do not miss a second of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as we get ready to speak on the future of collegiate athletics with name, image, and likeness now a reality. We will find out what former players think about this and former guys connected to the great Syracuse Orange program. So we'll hear what both of them have to say right after this break. Coming up first inside of MaandPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin' with Mr. Eric Crume as he joins us to give his thoughts on name, image, and likeness and the future of collegiate athletics right here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Hope you're having yourselves a wonderful morning this morning and taking it easy. And hopefully, some of you are off because we had the 4th of July on a Sunday, which means that it was recognized today. So some of you get the day off today. So hopefully you're watching the show, having a nice breakfast, hanging out, relaxing, having a good time. So we appreciate you being here. However you found your way to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, whether you're listening on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt or on wakeupcalldt.com, as well as watching and listening on youtube.com/wakeupcalldT, facebook.com/wakeupcalldT, and being shared on facebook.com/livenowdt. So however you're connecting with us, thank you so much for tuning into the broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Well, name, image, and likeness has obviously come front and center in the not just the world of collegiate athletics, but the sports world in and of itself in general. And here to talk with me about it in hour number one is Eric Crume, former Syracuse defensive lineman. And so as a former student athlete and as someone connected to the community of Central and Upstate New York that is so near and dear to my heart, as it is my home, I feel very honored and privileged to have Eric on the show to give me his thoughts on name, image, and likeness and the future of college athletics. So let's bring him in today to hear what he has to say from his take as a former athlete as he sees the current Syracuse players as well as players all over the country get geared up for the opportunity to make money on their name, image, and likeness and what that can do with college athletics. Let's bring him in. Eric, how you doing today?
I'm good. How you doing, Dan?
I'm doing well, man, and before I go anywhere, I know I asked you off the air, but I gotta ask how the little one's doing. The one who knew how to put shapes and colors together at age 1. How is she doing right now? Is she getting ready to run for president? What's she doing? How's life out there?
Oh, she's good. She's running around as usual, ready to go. Everything is always on the go. She's ready to go.
What's life like being a dad in today's modern world with, no big deal, just a pandemic, social media, literally all these things that, obviously the pandemic is not something that people, there's been things that have happened throughout history, but of this magnitude where the whole world stops, obviously that makes life very interesting for the past year and a half. Then you bring in social media and all of these other things. We can hear everybody's opinion at all times. The internet, which some people didn't have growing up as well. So what can you say about being a father in an era where the information can get to you so quickly? There's love, there's hate, and in the midst of all this, there was a pandemic. So how's life as a dad?
It has negatives and positives. Like, the kids are able to obtain information that we weren't able to growing up with the internet and doing things of that nature, being able to access more things and have more things available to them. But then it's the downside, like, being critiqued as young kids. We see it all the time with the internet. Everything is thrown in your face. You have stuff you really want to shield them from, but it's almost impossible with TV, internet, just social interaction with their friends. Like, it's so much stuff being thrown at it. Like, even the stuff they're putting on TV, they wouldn't have put on TV 20 years ago. Now they have all this craziness on TV, so you really got to try to shield your child as best you can, but it's so hard because everything's so accessible now.
So how do you do it, especially with, a kid that's so intelligent kind of right off the bat as your daughter has been? How do you keep her from, grabbing the iPad and seeing all types of crazy stuff?
It's real hard because you really got to try to put the parental blocks on and things like that. But at the end of the day, kids figure stuff out. And they basically watch you, so you really got to try to model your behavior in a positive way so they won't do some of the things you do or say some of the things you say. So I really try to focus in on my behavior because I know she's watching.
That coming here from Eric Crume this morning, Syracuse Orange defensive line alum, here with us this morning to speak on some big things happening in the world of sports, which is happening in the world in general. Big-time changes. Name, image, and likeness can truly affect the future of all collegiate athletics, if you even want to call it collegiate athletics anymore. It can't be called amateur athletics, as payment can happen. Crume, I know that you are somebody who educates yourself in a lot of things that are going on, and I always appreciate having you on the show because you open up so many avenues in the fact that you kind of just are a sponge. And I love that you love to learn about it and to talk about it. And it really it means a lot to me because I go back to a few years ago when I was coming out of Foxborough and was down there covering Jacksonville and New England, and we started talking and you had spoken to me about being on the show or doing something with a show. And I had, called you back and said, hey, I'd love to have you on more regularly. I'd love to do a segment with you and do some pieces with you. And that was because of the fact that I felt like, not only do you have a connection to Syracuse in central and upstate New York, but you're also somebody who really dives into big topics and you're not afraid to shy away from your opinion and the things that you kind of value and see that are important. So, to open up this conversation to you, I know I'm opening it up to somebody who really is unafraid and unapologetic about speaking on what you see. So what are you seeing right now?
It's just a lot of things going crazy, especially like we talked about somewhat NCAA. I feel like they let it get out of hand for the most part because they could have put it in a controlled environment where everybody could have been successful for the most part. But once you not get things under control, when you had ample opportunity, now it's about to spiral out of control, which I'm happy for all the guys. That benefit after because everybody laid groundwork from prior generations for even us to have the benefits when I was going to college. Now, they're benefiting us groundwork that we laid and people laid before us. So I'm kind of happy they're able to do that. But it still can spike out of control because everybody's likeness is worth something different at the collegiate level. So now we touch into the business. But the thing I'm concerned about is they're not teaching the kids what the money even once they make their likeness. Like, there's going to be a lot of times kids even find out what taxes is on the check. Or is it going to be different? Oh, I made $10,000. No, it's really $7,000 after 10. So they need to start educating these young men and young women that are going to be receiving this money after their likeness and thinking of what to do with it. As we know as adults, it's easier to make money than manage money. So I really want to see them put something in place to help the young men and young women out, learn how to be financially stable with their money and do something with it where it can set themselves up even if they don't make it to the pros after college.
Yeah, and the NCAA on their website, ncaa.org, they have a thing that says name, image, and likeness, what name, image, and likeness means for college sports and how the NCAA is turning the student athletes to navigate a path forward, and this is what it says. In college sports, every new year brings the promise of a new season, a new chance at a title run, and a new college degrees to celebrate. But this year also promises a larger conversation that will shape the college sports world as it continues to turn. The topic of student-athlete name, image, and likeness has commanded attention and fueled debate in recent months, everywhere from conference rooms to coffee shops to Capitol Hill. And over the course of 2020, it will be the focus of college sports leaders, university presidents, conference commissioners, athletic directors, and others, who will determine what changes the NCAA can and should make to better support today's student-athletes. Questions about the issue rose to new decibels in February when California legislators proposed a state bill that would enable California student-athletes to profit from their name, image, and likeness through avenues such as endorsement deals and marketing promotions, without regulation. Given the need for consistent and fair rules among all NCAA members consistent with the NCAA's core principles, the association formed a working group of member representatives in May to examine the issue and chart a path forward. Then in October, The group made recommendations to the Board of Governors, which adopted them and directed the NCAA's 3 divisions to pursue rules changes around name, image, and likeness, kickstarting a process that will play out over the coming year and result in a national rather than state-by-state solution. The conversations will be far more complex than any headline or tweet can convey. Developing solutions will take months, not days. And as NCAA members dig into the work, they will repeatedly turn to the student athletes at the center of the issue. So, hearing that from the NCAA, what are your thoughts on their statement on their website?
A bunch of nonsense, as it's always been. I just feel like they really just tried to force it because California, once they push the issue, and it's such a large state, and the market for California, like those schools could use it as a recruiting tool, so they kind of got their hand forced. It wasn't genuine. And now they want to act like this about your students. Like, how is the NCAA still considered a nonprofit organization when everybody in there making money besides the athletes until now? Like, I still never grasped that concept. How you guys nonprofit where coaches are making $1 million, the NCAA tournament makes buku loads of money, those bowl games make a lot of money. But how is it a nonprofit organization? So anything the NCAA says, I'm really not a fan of. I don't think they do anything right, and I think they let it get out of control now where college sports is about to be a business. So it's going to be interesting to see. Like, I'm glad the kids are able to get their money, but I want to see the domino effect of the NCAA not jumping on this early.
Well, and the thing is that, something that I've talked about here on the show over time and brought up last week as well is what about these instances? You used to be in a locker room. So coming up on the show after you in just a little bit at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time, I'm going to speak with Jay Bromley. Now, you and Jay are in the locker room, let's say you're both D linemen, both on the interior of the line. Jay gets an endorsement from, let's say, Dick's Sporting Goods. And you seek an endorsement as well. Jay gets $5,000, you get $10,000. Do you and Jay start fighting in the locker room? Does Dick's get involved when you sit and they don't let you play as much as Jay? Do they want to flip it and say, okay, we're going to give Crume 5 and we're going to give Jay 10 because we didn't back a bench player, we backed a starter? So does Dick's get involved with it when they give more money to you and maybe you don't get as much playing time? Do you and Jay start fighting in practice over it? If there's incentives within your contract that you're going to be able to get more money with more sacks and you and Jay are both out there at the same time, do you push him out of the way to try and get to the quarterback? Bring me into those potential issues.
And that was the thing that, like, I know me and others are worried about. I even see in the media is like the hierarchy of money of things of like that's how you control. Like you said, nobody wants to sponsor a bench player, and then it's just natural competition and jealousy. It's like people are still human beings at the end of the day. So you got somebody on one team making, like you said, somebody making 10. So what about the kid that's making nothing? That nobody wants to sponsor, but you got a kid on the team making $50,000 from an endorsement deal. It's natural jealousy, even though you might be friends and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you're like, man, he getting this and I'm not getting this. Or let's say you had, like you said, the sponsorship deals, but you didn't get no playing time this week. So they take your sponsor away. So now it's about to get real crazy just because everybody's value is different. That's why when they had the chance, they should have just gave out an equal number of money to all across all student athletes, so you won't have those issues. Yeah, even though it still might seem unfair, but if you give it out equally, it can't be no complaints. Like I said, you should have gave kids like $8,000 to $10,000 a semester, which is $20,000. Which is like $20,000 is great in college. You like, especially if the education is already paid for. You should be able to manage your $10,000 a semester. And they could have negated the problem. Just come up with a common figure, even if it was not 10. Now you giving kids a great thing to make money off their likeness, but let's take like a few years ago when Zion Williamson was that dude. He was bringing in more numbers in some NBA games, so he might have been worth $3 or $4 million as a college freshman, where you got the 12 guy on the bench who's not worth anything. Nobody's coming to see him, but you could have had it all under control. So now it's about to go real crazy, especially if the big companies get involved. Like let's say how they want to get some students at Alabama. They're always competitive, or Clemson football. Household names. Now it's about to go real crazy where the kids sometimes are going to be focused on endorsements. So what happens if the kid has a commercial shoot the same day as practice?
Yeah.
But they're paying the kid $600,000. What you think the kid's going to go? practice or to do his commercial or do his ad and stuff like that. So now they created the whole monster that they're not going to be able to control.
That coming here from Eric Crume, Syracuse Orange defensive line alum, speaking on name, image, and likeness and the future of collegiate athletics as a former college athlete himself. For those of you just tuning in, a wake-up call with Dan Tortora here inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. To give you some background here, name, image, and likeness, which you see a lot, is NIL. The acronyms kind of all over the place now to shorten it up. Name, image, and likeness, a.k.a. NIL, is essentially a person's personal brand. It'll allow students to profit off their brand through a variety of channels. This is not a pay-for-play model, which would allow students to be compensated for participating in the sport. Instead, it gives them the same rights as any college student to make money off their brands. Now, how can they profit? So we look at this, potential endorsement deals, that is something that players can get. That's only part of it. Student athletes will be able to use their social media with either sponsored posts or advertisements through their channels, the creator studios for platforms like YouTube and TikTok, selling autographs, hosting private training sessions or camps, selling merchandise, as well as other avenues. Here's the thing, Crume. This is not a pay-for-play model. However, it is, because they say, well, we're not paying players to play the game, but if they didn't play the game, they wouldn't get the endorsement. So in a weird way, not even a weird way, but in kind of a roundabout way, you are paying a player for being a player, because if they weren't a player, you wouldn't pay them. So if you're not the starting quarterback for Alabama, then there's no reason for you to have the Ford dealership sponsorship, because that's why they're sponsoring you. They're sponsoring the quarterback of Alabama or the quarterback of Oklahoma or whatever it may be. So they say this isn't pay for play, but isn't it pay for play when the reason why you're giving them the money? That's like saying we're not giving money to Kevin Hart because he's a comedian. We're giving money to Kevin Hart because he's Kevin Hart, but because he's the comedian is why you're giving him money. So doesn't this not make sense, even though they're trying to make it make sense?
It definitely doesn't make any sense. And the thing what makes it worse is that each explanation, like I think you're more unaware than you was before you listened to what they had to say. That's what makes it crazy. Like every explanation they gives never gives any clarity to the situation. And that's what sucks about it, especially for the kids and us as just people looking from the outside in. Like, it's no clarity. It's always beating around the bush, or then once stuff happens, you want to try to switch it up to try to make it seem like you were for this. So, like, I'm just totally over it.
You know, and in seeing this NIL, it went into place Thursday, July 1st. But not every state has accepted it. Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, New Mexico, and Texas approved it on July 1st. Kentucky passed legislation via executive order by the state governor, and Arizona's goes into place July 23rd. Ohio also signed an executive order recently. Nebraska and Oklahoma have legislation in place to allow student athletes to profit off of this immediately, as long as the schools grant it. And schools in Nebraska and Oklahoma have to allow it no later than July 1st, 2023. Another 10 states have passed legislation that go to effect in later years. Arkansas in 2022, California in 2023, Colorado in 2023, Maryland in 2023, Michigan in 2022, Montana in 2023, Nevada in 2022, New Jersey in 2025, South Carolina in 2022, and Tennessee in 2022. So this is where we sit. A bunch of different states have passed it. Some states have not passed it. Some states are fighting it. Some states have passed it, but they passed it for the future. How do we get a hold of any of this? And as you know, Mr. Crume, what is this going to do to recruiting?
That's why I don't think they can get a hold of it. That's why I think they really got their hand forced when California did it down. When they passed it, what was that, a few months ago, like in the middle of last year, I'm like, oh, they're going to use that for recruiting as soon as I see them. I'm like, if ain't no other states, why wouldn't you go to California to make money off your likeness? But then you look at it from the other spectrum. Do you think the issue would have been pushed forward? Let's say if Vermont passed it first before California, a state with no major schools or anything, I don't think the ball would have got rolling like that. I think since California was such a highly populated state and with major universities, then it got the ball rolling some. But of course it's going to be used for recruiting, especially you go to the big schools with a state that will let you make money off your likeness. Like you said, Alabama will start. they're always competitive in the top two, top three school, top one, whatever you want to be. They're always going to be there under Nick Saban era. So they're going to make money. That's going to be even a higher recruiting pitch. They don't have no state professional teams. Alabama football is it. So if you're a great player on that school, why wouldn't you want to go? That's even more incentive to make you go. Or even Clemson, there's no professional teams in South Carolina. So why wouldn't you want to go on top of they're going to be winning? Then all the small car companies and all that's going to want to make money because those are the biggest athletes in those states for the most part. Like, who's the biggest athlete in the state of Alabama? They probably play for the University of Alabama. Or the state of South Carolina is probably a Clemson football player. So you start looking at things like that. Why wouldn't I go on top of the money you could make? Those guys are going to be making, like, low professional money in college if it goes well for them. So it's definitely going to boost the major schools that allow it already because they're already such a money pulling in school like Texas. They put in so much money. Now, if you're a marquee athlete at the University of Texas, you can be borderline millionaire as a 19 or 20-year-old. So I definitely think it's going to spike recruiting, especially for the major schools.
You know, and we look at, for the states that haven't passed anything yet, like New York, there is a temporary suspension of amateurism rules. So then it begs the question, how strong is the NCAA, and is the NCAA functioning inside of the United States of America as, I mean, are they a ruling body that's bigger than the national government? Because now the question is, the NCAA, how much power do they have where they say, okay, we're going to temporarily suspend rules, so even if your state doesn't approve it, your school can approve it within your state. So what happens there? Because Syracuse athletes at Syracuse University can now make money off of name, image, and likeness, but New York State doesn't have a law that's been passed yet. So how does that work? Does New York State seek to sue Syracuse University? Can they sue Syracuse University? What is the jurisdiction of the NCAA?
And that's the crazy part about it. Like you said, there still provides no clarity because who overrides who? Like, as a state, why would you want to do that to the kids if the organization that they're playing under allows it? Because now these schools almost become business entities instead of just schools. Okay, which school can put me in the best position to further my career and make some money now? So this is the vision of a kid now, especially those kids come from impoverished backgrounds. They can play a huge part of where you want to go. Okay, I'm picking my college. I can make $500,000 here in my 4 years because they got big sponsorships. I think I'm good enough to be a marquee name or something like that. So you have to factor those things in now when you make your college decision. Now you have to take a business approach to it as a young man or a young woman. So I'm interested to see how it plays out.
Speaking here with Eric Crume, Syracuse Orange defensive line alum and obviously a former student athlete. So speaking here with name, image, and likeness and how it affects student athletes. Crume, if this happened while you were playing, what would be your thoughts on it? If you were at Syracuse right now and they opened up name, image, and likeness, what would be your thoughts?
How can I be a part and make myself some money? I'm not going to act like, it's not going to affect me. Of course it was, especially you have those tough nights in colleges where it's like, I'm far from rich when I was growing up, so it was like it's tough nights. You know, you just had to put some money together, get some pizza or eat some noodles, some cereal. So you don't forget those things. So now it's been, okay, how can I partnership with? How can I make myself a brand? And I think now you're going to see even more and more branding from young kids. Now they're going to come into college marketing themselves because they know it's opportunities and money out there to help them out. It could change their life at the moment and make them somewhat comfortable. You know, because everybody comes from different walks of life. So you might have a kid that has 5 or 6 brothers and sisters at home, and his mom is barely getting by, or, you know, his parents are working hard as they can. So now they're able to take care of themselves to relieve some burden on their family life already. So I think the branding is about to get skyrocketed out of control. Like, every kid is going to turn themselves into a brand for the most part to try to market these deals from these companies.
Yeah, you know, and seeing these brands already come out, you know, players already having their logos and already having things set up here. We look at what a player does get already. The Power 5 conferences passed legislation, full cost of attendance for scholarship student athletes. So this has happened, obviously, in the past. The ACC, the Big 12, the Big 10, the SEC, and the Pac-12, where they sought autonomy. In addition to a tuition-free education, student athletes will now receive yearly stipends of $2,000 to $4,000 intended to cover cost of living expenses. So knowing that players within the Power Five, quote unquote, or the Autonomous Five, are getting money, and now they can get money on top of this. Do you take away the stipend? Do you keep the stipend? Do you say, well, you have to have the stipend because what if they can't make money? How do you look at this now, knowing that full cost of attendance was supposed to help the Autonomous Five conferences, and now on top of full cost of attendance, we can now see a player make as much money as they want to make?
I think they should still give the kids a stipend, like you said, because everybody's going to be in a different bracket of what they can make. And it still helps out the kid who's unable to profit off his likeness that much. Let's take football. You got 90 guys on the team. All 90 guys is not going to market a deal to make them some money. And honestly, if you're not at a big school, you're lucky to get 5 to 10 guys marketing deals. So all of it depends on what school you're at. But I think they should keep it all in place because everybody has different circumstances, and they could have just did this from the beginning to up the stipend, and I don't think this would have been a problem. If they'd had a contract for all the kids to sign up for their likeness. So they had all the kids have money for all their likeness. Let's say they'd offered the kids $20,000 a semester, but they signed on for the school to use their likeness. I think a lot of kids would have signed it if you would have broke it down to where, hey, I want to give you $20,000 a semester, whatever it's going to be. Come up with a number that makes them want to give someone to their likeness, or give them the option. You can make money off your likeness, but you're not going to receive any stipend or anything. If you're a marketable athlete, it might work out where they don't need the stipend if they make enough money off the field or off the court. So give the kids options, or come with a great plan, but they waited too late now. It's in a bad situation for the NCAA, not the kids.
And when we look at full cost of attendance, it's also different based on the cost of school. An old scholarship versus a new scholarship money and all that stuff. And Syracuse is toward the bottom. So when you offer full cost of attendance and you give something of that, Syracuse is one of the schools that can give the smallest stipend. So it's already unequal in that respect. So, we're never going to be able to equal this out, I think, is, what you're saying, what I'm saying, is we're never really going to be able to find a way to equal any of this out. Stipends are going to be different. What players can make is going to be different. And how about this? If you're a player that's playing in the Los Angeles area collegiately, there's a lot of places to go to and there's a lot of money to be had. If you're playing in the New York City area, there's a lot of places to go to and a lot of money to be had. But what if you're playing in Des Moines, Iowa? What if you're playing in, even Clemson, South Carolina? There's not as many businesses in Clemson that you're going to have in Dallas, Texas. So does SMU benefit more than Clemson does from name, image, and likeness? So does this, in a weird way, start to even out recruiting? Or how do you look at it from that angle of, if you're a player, do you go to a school that has a big city with a lot of money and a lot more opportunity? Or do you go to a school that has a bigger name in the sports world?
I would see personally, I probably think go with the bigger name because, like how you just brought Clemson up, they might not have many businesses in South Carolina, but what's the biggest attraction in town?
Right.
Clemson. They're more known, like probably when who was probably more famous in South Carolina than when Deshaun Watson was at Clemson? Probably not too many athletes. He probably the most famous athlete at his time in his state. So his face was probably going to be the most marketable face in the whole state, even if it's not so many economic opportunities for us business-wise, but it's going to be so low on few that the money was going to skyrocket just because he was going to be so popular and marketable in that area. So it goes both ways, like you said. Like sometimes you will be in a major city and in a major university. So it all plays itself out, but I'm just nervous of how they're going to let the kids manage the money. You're going to get all these kids this money with no structure to it. That's the biggest concern for me.
Well, and that's the thing. So what do we put in place? Do we hire a financial advisor to oversee the student athletes? And knowing how many student athletes are at any given school, do we hire multiple financial advisors? What do we do to make sure that these student athletes, if we can even call them that anymore, what do we have to do to make sure that they're going to know how to use their money and use it properly? Some people that could be getting 10 grand may have never seen $100. So as far as being good with this money, we don't. That's the thing. There's kids that aren't good with their parents give them $10 and they go down to the corner store, buy candy, and it's gone within seconds. I remember growing up, my parents would, if I got money from, my birthday or from whatever, I'd put a little bit away, spend a little bit. I'd always have a few, $2 bills or 50-cent pieces my grandpa gave me, and I'd put certain stuff away. So do we need to hire a financial advisor? And obviously you can't hire one for each student athlete, but do they hire a few and break it up? I mean, how do we make sure that these players know what to do with their money once they get it, especially people that have never seen anything close to the money that they may be receiving?
That's a great question. Even if you don't, put a course in for them, like a 6-week course, or bring somebody in to go over credit, financial stability, or even if you want to teach the kids somewhat of a lesson as a business, since we are making business now, you just offer it. And, hey, a portion of your money can go towards having a financial advisor, just how you do once you become a professional. It's on your own to seek out your own financial advisor. I just said give them a head start. At bare minimum, offer it to them. Hey, we got a team of 5 advisors. If you want to do this, it'll cost this. Just don't, charge them a buku money for it or something like that. Hey, if you guys are making money now, you want a financial advisor, $400, $500 a month to show you how to sit down, break it down, or whatever you want to do with it. But my biggest thing is just teaching them and having it available. If you teach people how to manage, for the most part, they wouldn't even need all these financial advisors and all that. And you could keep the portion of it you was going to pay somebody to do it yourself. Just get a lawyer to read over your contract. If it's going to be a business now, let's get them set up for success early and teach them how to manage in the business world, or what to look for when you hire an advisor, how to do background checks and things like that. I just want them to get the systems in place to be able to just teach it or have it available. Not saying you're going to do everything perfect and just give them everything because they're giving a likeness, but just have it available for the kids to have options. So they can know, okay, this is how I get it, this is how you do this, and put a plan together. Okay, this is A, B, C, and D, instead of just giving them A and letting them figure it out. At the end of the day, they still are kids, and young men and young women. Most of us made mistakes when 19 and 20. We still make mistakes as older adults now. So why wouldn't you get them the systems in place? And the thing that bothers me about the NCAA, they keep acting like they have lack of funding, like they never want to spend their own money. Like I was telling one of my friends one day, I said, we live in Michigan. How much money do you think they make at the University of Michigan game on a Saturday, a sold-out game? It's 114,000 seats in there. All of them not student section seats. A lot of people have concessions. They probably make $1 million some dollars out of one game. So they paid off all the scholarships in one game. So they have the funding available. They just don't want to give it back. Give it back to the people who are creating the actual money, the people they come to watch. So the NCAA has the resource and the funding available. They just don't want to give out their own funding, in my opinion.
Well, and the thing about the NCAA is they claim to be a non-for-profit. And when I say non-for-profit, I always think about, okay, so it's like a charity. And so charities give back to the community, right? Not to say the NCAA doesn't do anything for the community, but my question is, if you're a non-for-profit, I'm thinking Ronald McDonald House, I'm thinking, Vera House, I'm thinking McMahon Ryan, I'm thinking of these places that, are out there to help people. The NCAA says it's a non-for-profit, and they bring in, their revenue in 2019 was over $1 billion. Over $1 billion in 2019. Now, they stated that they lost money this past year because they had to cancel stuff, but revenue this is kind of crazy to take a look at this. Over 1.1 billion, around 1.1, if not more, $billion in 2019 that they bring in. So, have you heard of many non-for-profits, Crume, that make over $1 billion a year?
Not at all. That's why the NCAA is a joke. They're a nonprofit, but everybody who's volunteering in this nonprofit, everybody in the NCAA making big money except the people bring in the money. Like, I bet if you look up people who hire up people in this nonprofit, everybody's making 6 figures. Even the coaches making 6 figures. They work for, everybody's making the money but the kids. That's why I'm glad they're able to make money now. But all these I wonder how much the president of the NCAA makes. When are they giving any of this money back to the communities they serve? But they're such a nonprofit. Nobody's winning but them. So I'm not really a big fan of the NCAA at all.
Yeah, and the thing is so there hasn't been a check and balance to the NCAA. So the question is, who becomes the check and balance for the NCAA? And that is a big question mark. Is there has never been one. There's never been anybody to really tell them when they're wrong, tell them when it's not okay, tell them when something doesn't make sense. Now, Mark Emmert is the president of the NCAA, and you're going to get sick about this. So his net worth is around $5 million. So the net worth of NCAA president, as we look at this right now. Now I want to kind of, there's a few numbers that are going around here. So let's look at this. Now, he had a net pay of $2.9 million in the 2017 calendar year. He was credited with nearly $3.9 million in total compensation during 2017. Now, it included a deferred payment of just over $1.4 million, but $1 million of that already had been reported on prior year's returns. So we're looking at this saying that the president of the NCAA in 2017, 4 years ago, made over $3 million, credited with nearly $3.9 million. His net compensation for 2017 was $2.9 million. He has received, in around this time, he received a $615,000 increase in his base pay. Now, 3 other NCAA executives were credited with more than $1 million in total compensation in 2017, and 8 were credited with more than $500,000. So when you know that NCAA officials 4 years ago were making $500,000, $1 million, or their president was making around $3 million in a non-for-profit, what are your thoughts?
Exactly what I think about the NCAA, a joke. I told you they're making all that money and don't want to give it back to the people who's actually making that money. Both of us can walk past Mark Emmett and want to know who he is. But you're not going to walk past a high-level athlete that the people are coming to see and not know who he is. And it's just sad. All this is supposed to be non-profit, but all these millionaires and six-figure salary people are making the money, and they putting rules in place to limit the amount of capital that these young people can make. That's the saddest part about it. Just seeing how much everybody is winning, but the people that people are actually coming to see. And it just shows like they want to act like this is amateurism when it's really all about professionalism in a sense. All this amateurism, they're taking the purity out the game, but y'all not taking the purity out the game when y'all had to, before COVID, when the NCAA tournament was making $500 million or close to $1 billion off one tournament. When everybody tuned in to watch the college playoffs and football, what's the amateurism then when y'all showing all these sponsors and all these commercials, all these sponsors, the Chick-fil-A and all that, where's the purity then? Because y'all getting paid for showing those commercials and ads. Or when they post a banner up on the field behind the end zone or State Farm and all that, where's all those sponsorship dollars going? It's not going back to the kids. Y'all making the kids' circumstances better. Like the housing is not getting better. They're not getting better transportation facilities from that. Most of the stuff that happens with them comes from donors from their own university. So where's all the revenue coming from the NCAA? Where's it going? Who can somebody audit the NCAA?
Well, and that's the thing. Is, if the NCAA, like everybody else, is underneath the national government and the IRS and all of this, then can they not be investigated? Can we not get information? When everybody's screaming about getting tax records over these last few years, why not get the tax records of NCAA officials and find out what they're making? But here's the thing that kind of goes into this that is even more disturbing and upsetting. When collegiate athletics were trying to figure out what to do with coronavirus and if they were going to play or not play, some conferences decided not to play, some conferences decided to play, some conferences decided not to play but told their schools they could play, some schools decided not to play when their conferences said they were going to play. So there's all these different things going on, and Mark Emmert, amidst all of this, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said along the likes of, I have no jurisdiction in college football. So here's my question. These are NCAA institutions, correct? Syracuse is under the NCAA. When Jim Boeheim got fined, it was by the NCAA when they took away 101 wins. So here's my question to you, Mr. Eric Crume, who's here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Cafe Kubal studios. If the NCAA oversees all institutions, and those institutions, many of them have football programs, how can the president of the NCAA say that he has no jurisdiction over college football? And if he has no jurisdiction over college football, is he therein the president of nothing? Eric, are you there? I think we might have lost him here for a second. Oh, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So, yeah, is essentially he the president of nothing?
I said you might have won the day with that question, because you might be on. So that's the point that we making. He basically, but you getting paid six figures if you claim you don't have no jurisdiction. They never can do nothing till something happens. That's what kills me about the NCAA. Well, it wasn't our decision and all this. Like, who started the NCAA since it's such a nonprofit? Where's the origin coming from? All this lack of information. But we always know when it's come down to enforcing rules and take something from them. Like, they need to get Reggie Bush's Heisman Trophy back. Need to get Fab Five all their wins back. You know, stuff like that. When this stuff was going on 20 or 30 years ago when they was penalizing the kids. But now they want to make money off the kids, too, now. Oh, we want to promote this and putting the kids in commercials. And it's sickening because you want to treat them like professionals, but you don't want to pay them. That's the sickening part about it.
Well, and the thing is,
everybody hold them to a higher standard than. You want to hold them higher standard than every other, young athlete or kid. Just the athletes in college get held to a higher standard than the regular student population, which is not fair. They all do. You just have a talent or that you do, or a game that you do well at. Like when we was in college, we couldn't get a job or things like that to still help support ourselves, but y'all can make $500,000 of us going to play on Saturdays. Like, how did that make sense?
Right. And it really begs the question. And when Mark Emmert came out and said this, and he talked about having no jurisdiction over college football, I'm sitting here saying to myself, okay, then how are you the NCAA president? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me how this happens, but you make the money off, like you said, you make the money off of them. So you're making over $1 million a year, but you have no authority over it. So if we can go back to what he said here, and I'm trying to bring it up here, I want to get the exact quote. So Mark Emmert said, when it was looking at NCAA President Mark Emmert made it clear the NCAA has no authority to tell any conference if they can play college football this fall. He said, quote, "We have no authority to do that." Yeah, okay. We know that your conference isn't playing and you want to go ahead and play over here. I may think that's a silly idea, but it's not up to me. It's not up to anybody. That school has its own authority to do that. Now, its conference colleagues can say, if you do that, we're going to throw you out of the conference. That's fine, but they still can do what they want there. That's never been the prerogative of the NCAA, and in my opinion, it never should be. End quote. So he says there's no jurisdiction. I have no jurisdiction. He also went on to say, I get that people want simple answers. I get that it's frustrating that some conferences are playing and some aren't right now. That's just the way it has to be to do this inside college sports. It's not right or wrong or better or worse. When people say, well, if we just had a czar to come in and say we're going to make a decision, that'll be it, history, if it's taught us anything, people love the concept of a czar, but they hate czars. Authoritarianism is a really fun concept. It just sucks when people actually have to live under it. Sure, it's fun to talk about it, but nobody who actually advocates for it has actually lived inside of it. He said the NCAA has never had oversight over the bowl games or postseason play in the highest level of football. Even back in the 80s when there was a single TV contract, there was some level of control over the bowls and the like, but the postseason play in football evolved organically literally over 100 years, end quote. So he comes out and he says during coronavirus, we have no authority. We can't tell anybody what to do. I can't be a czar and make a decision over the entire collegiate athletic climate. But isn't that what you do. If the NCAA cannot make rules that blanket affect every school in NCAA Division 1, 2, and 3, then the NCAA doesn't exist. Did he not just render himself invisible by saying, we can't make any jurisdiction, we can't make any rules, we can't oversee anything, I'm not a czar, I'm not a single leader who's making a decision for everybody, everyone can make their own decisions. If that's the case, if every institution has the power to make its own decisions, then the NCAA is null and void. Did he not say that?
Exactly, that's the point. So why does the NCAA inflict punishments instead of the university if they can't make no decision? So you basically saying you get paid to do nothing if that's true.
Right. So you're making over $2 million a year to have no jurisdiction over anything. And if college football is the single biggest money pull, and he's saying we have no jurisdiction over college football, then there is no NCAA. Because if your money, your non-for-profit, comes from overseeing collegiate athletics, and the thing that makes you the most money is college football, and you're making $3 million a year, if not more, then if you have no jurisdiction over college football and those are not your employees and you cannot oversee them, then nobody owes you money, so then you don't make any money, so then that money shouldn't go to you. And again, why is he making all of this? Why are there officials in the NCAA making millions of dollars in a non-for-profit? Why isn't that money going to the community? Why do they have, and why does he have to make $3 million? I guess is yet another question. I remember when they said Roger Goodell said that he wasn't going to take a paycheck for a year because he wanted to show solidarity, whatever. He wanted to show like, I don't need to take a paycheck because we're all struggling. And he made $10 million the year before. Unless he spent all that $10 million, I could use that for the rest of my life. I don't ever need a paycheck again. It's easy to say I'm not going to take a paycheck when you made $10 million the year before. So I guess what I'm getting at is name, image, and likeness, and trying to figure this out with the players is obviously something that's very confusing. I call it a very meaty lasagna. But if Mark Emmert makes money as the NCAA president, and the NCAA makes their most money off of college football, and he has no jurisdiction over college football, then doesn't he owe money to somebody?
This is very true. Dan, you're speaking facts today. You're speaking them today. This is the sad thing. They can inflict all those punishments, but they don't have no influence as they claim.
Right. So then my question comes, does Jim Boeheim say, I'm taking my 101 wins back and throw the NCAA the middle finger? If he says, hey, you got no jurisdiction over football, then you got no jurisdiction over basketball. Why do players and coaches and administrators and schools adhere to punishments from the NCAA? If the NCAA has no jurisdiction, then who cares about the punishment? If the NCAA cannot hand down, or if they have no jurisdiction over college football, then if they say to Alabama, your starting quarterback can't play because he broke our rules, why can't Nick Saban flip him off and say he's going to play anyways? I mean, in the reality of it all, how can a ruling body punish you if they just admitted that they can't stop you from doing anything? If they can't stop a school from going to the field and playing, how can they stop a single player on that team from going to the field and playing?
That's part of the issue now, is lack of clarity. That makes no sense. It makes sense to us because it makes no sense. That's the sad part about it.
So is the NCAA essentially the No Clarity Association of America? Is that what NCAA stands for?
I think that should be the new name, No Clarity at all. The more you read about the NCAA, the less understanding you have. Like, everything you read made no sense at all. No sense at all about what their description is and everything. Oh, we have this, or their explanations. You have no input, but you can enforce rules. If you have no input, how can you put a rule system in place for something that you don't overrule?
Right. Right, exactly. I can't tell ESPN workers how to do their job. I'm not their boss. But I can tell people that work for me what we need to do. So, I mean, there's so many places to go. Speaking here with Eric Crume, Syracuse Orange defensive line alum. Coming up in just a few minutes, fellow alum of the D-line, Jay Bromley, will be joining the show. Syracuse players weighing in. What'd you say?
My boy Brian, the franchise.
That's right. So the Syracuse players in history weighing in on name, image, and likeness. Before I let you go, speaking here with Eric Crume inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, looking at all of this, California started it. So if California didn't say, we're passing legislation to allow all of our student athletes within this state, basically they forced the NCAA's hand, because if the NCAA did nothing to try and push this forward, then California would have it, and any other state that wanted to adopt it would have it, which would mean that the NCAA, again, who rules over no one, allegedly, their words, not ours, but if they're making decisions for over 100 schools in college football Division 1A, and California schools can get, the players can make money off their name, image, and likeness, but players in Oklahoma can't, or in Nebraska can't, but they can in Arizona, or whatever it may be, on and on and on and on. California forced the hand. So essentially, the NCAA is saying, hey, we're all for the student athlete, but they're not. Because if they didn't let this pass, California would have had USC and UCLA and all these schools would have been able to benefit over this, but nobody else would have, which means that you might have a kid that wants to go to Syracuse, go to Cal State Fullerton instead, because at Cal State Fullerton, he can make money off his YouTube channel, or she can make money off her YouTube channel. California made name, image, and likeness happen. That's what happened, Crume. This isn't the NCAA. This is the state of California saying, well, we're going to do it, and they would have had a competitive advantage over 49 states if the NCAA didn't respond.
Exactly. That's the first thing I said, and they saw it do it. But I was put it like this. Would the same effect would have happened if the state of Montana would have passed that law? Or like Vermont or New Hampshire? Not at all.
Right, but California is a lightning rod. Yeah.
Or let's say if Texas would have did the same thing would happen. Money-making states with large populations and major universities. Look at, like, you telling you about to turn USC down or UCLA down when you about to be on the beach and you can make money. Beautiful weather, all year, like, just common sense. So they got their hand for us to act like they're for the kids. Ain't fooling nobody, NCAA.
That coming from Eric Crume. Ain't fooling anybody, NCAA. His words to you this morning here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Crume, as always, I appreciate you. There is so much more to talk about. This thing is only going to cause more conversations, and the lasagna is only getting thicker with more layers. So we're here today to we're here. Thank you. We're here today to talk about all the things going on, and ultimately, knowing that there's really not a lot of answers with name, image, and likeness, and not a lot of answers with the NCAA, and so it's a whole lot of questions with nobody really giving us any resolutions or answers to them, which is why we're talking about it this morning, because, of course, it's great to go out there to build a car that's not completely assembled, that we don't know if the engine works, and we don't know if the carburetor is going to do what it needs to do, and is the transmission new or old, and do the windshield wipers work, and does the steering wheel work? Essentially, we put a car out on the lot, sold it for a ton of money, and just hope to God that it's not going to break apart and kill anybody on the way down the road. That is name, image, and likeness. That is the NCAA, and we will continue to talk about it here on the show with Jay Bromley in a minute. Crume, as always, I appreciate you, and shout out to you being a dad and loving life, and for being a friend of mine. So God bless you for everything, and if we know nothing else from all these questions this morning, I know that that you are my friend. I appreciate you very much, and you're always welcome in my house. So whenever you head back up to Syracuse, you got to let me know, and we can always talk on the grill about all this stuff, because thank God to the both of us, neither one of us has to deal with this stuff.
This is all true. Thank you for having me, good brother. You have an awesome rest of the day, and anytime you need me on, I'll be here.
All right, man. Take care. I'll talk to you soon. That coming from Eric Crume here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Questions upon questions upon questions upon questions. Where are the answers? Not with the NCAA. Where are the answers? They are not here this morning. And that is why we're sitting where we're sitting. What are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to tackle this? What are the actual rules? Are we just going to figure things out the way? Are we just going to do it as we go? Is that what we're made to do? To just figure it out as we go, right? Now, with no plans in place, or there are plans in place, but there's kind of plans in place, that leaves a lot of things to question. But the NCAA, as has been heard this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, brings a lot to question even without name, image, and likeness. We already have many questions. Like, who the heck runs the NCAA if the president of the NCAA is saying that he has no jurisdiction over college football? Then who does? Not you. Not me. Maybe Nick Saban. Maybe Dabo Sweeney. But we sit here this morning with more questions than answers. Really no answers, just a lot of questions. Maybe the new logo of the NCAA should just be a shoulder shrug. Maybe that should be what it is now. I'm confused. You're confused. And as we should be. Now, that doesn't mean that student athletes shouldn't be able to find a way to monetarily help themselves, but this thing has to be contained. And the issue is that California pushed it. And the NCAA had literally no choice. So were they ready to do it? Probably not. Are they ready now? Probably not. And how all of this is going to shake out if states fight against... Basically, do states have rights anymore? Do state governments matter anymore? When so many things in our world are being forced upon us by the national government, does the state government have any jurisdiction anywhere anymore? Can Ohio say, all right, that's what Florida's doing, but we don't agree with it? Can Pennsylvania disagree with New York? Because if things like this get passed and things like this stick, whichever side of the coin you're on, then that essentially means that no states have any rights. Because the state of New York has not passed legislation on it, but California has. But Tommy DeVito can make money this morning. Jarvion Howard can make money this morning. Buddy Boeheim can make money this morning. But the state of New York has not passed law saying that name, image, and likeness is okay with them. They have not certified that. But California has. But the NCAA said we're going to have a temporary cease of any restrictions on this. If that's the case, then the states fighting it have no fight. The states fighting it have no jurisdiction. The states fighting it really have no business making laws. So then, does state government even matter? I'm asking you. I'm asking the NCAA. I'm asking the national government. I'm asking all 50 states. We'll talk with Jay Bromley about his opinions of it right after this. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand butter chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Proud to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where sports truly meets that thing called life inside the Cafe Kubal studios. You're watching on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, which is also being shared on facebook.com/livenowdt, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, and of course on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage, where you can like, subscribe, all for free to get everything from Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, including our Central New York tab that tells you about the businesses we work with. We have our Cuse constant updates and special exclusives pages for Syracuse football and Syracuse basketball, and so much more. So a lot of great stuff to check out on wakeupcalldt.com. We appreciate everybody that does. With that being said, inside of these Cafe Kubal studios, we're here with our second guest of the day and our second D lineman of the day inside of Monpaz Popcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Jay Bromley here with us, former Syracuse defensive lineman and a defensive lineman that knows what it's like to be inside of the NFL, drafted in the third round and spent many a year inside of the NFL. So he can talk with us on amateurism versus professional, the professional ranks, and kind of what he's taken away from all of this. We were talking about a little bit off the air, and now we have the opportunity to share that with you. So let's bring him into the Cafe Kubal studios here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Jay Bromley, Syracuse and NFL alum. Jay, how you doing today?
I'm well, Dan. Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely, man. And, you played collegiate athletics. You played at Syracuse. You played football. What are your thoughts, kind of before we get started on the specific questions of this? You see name, image, and likeness come across the ticker that it's been approved, at least temporarily, where any athlete anywhere that's playing NCAA Division I, II, or III can make money. What are your thoughts on name, image, and likeness, kind of broad scope, when you saw that was at least temporarily approved?
It's probably similar to most people. What does it really mean, right? Because name, image, and likeness, that's what a person is. That's kind of like, the IP, the intellectual property of an individual. So when you say name, image, and likeness, what is off limits, I guess? I think that'd be a shorter list. So I think when that gets defined, then guys will have a very plain outlook on what they can do. But obviously, it's an opportunity for guys to make money in college based on their own image and based on the fame and notoriety that they have already, which they were doing. They just had to do it under the table. So I'm glad that it allows them to do it and not be penalized for it anymore.
You know, and that's the thing, like you said, under the table stuff. But here's the question now. Can a booster come up to a player, shake their hand, and put money in it? People say, no, you can't do pay for play. But what if that booster turns around and says, oh, no, the dealership told me to give it, or the law office, or I have an LLC, you just don't know that I do? What's going to stop players from making money any which way, whether or not it's a specific sponsorship? Because how do you track it? If a guy tweets out, hey, I love Fritos, and how do we know that Fritos is actually giving them money, or is somebody shady giving them money, or whatever that may be, to use that as an example? The reality of it all is, how do we track money going to players now when they can make money? Who's to stop a booster from giving them money? Who's to stop the things that used to normally penalize players? How do we know what's happening and where the money's coming from and how to track it and this and that? Because once you open up the opportunity to make money, can't everything that used to be a violation not be a violation anymore?
Pretty much, because like you said, man, if people were still getting in under the table and getting handshakes of money back then when it was quote unquote scrutinized and it was penalized so heavily, and how are you going to be more efficient in being able to vet that system now? I don't think you can. I think you once you open up the floodgates of the opportunity of guys to get paid, you kind of allow that to kind of filter itself, and which is nothing wrong with that. I mean, at the reality of it, I think one of the biggest problems from our perspective of what collegiate colleges and NCAA always tried to kind of pursue or push was equality, right? And obviously that's a big thing and a big word in so many different categories. But what is equality really? When you get into the real world, you realize that nobody's really equal, right? We might be born necessarily like with the same physical heart, lungs, different things like that. But even two babies aren't equal. One is 10 pounds, one is 8 pounds. And guess what? That doesn't mean they're gonna stay like that. That 8-pounder can grow to be a 6'10" man, and the 10-pounder can grow to be a 5'6" man. So equality is something that's really abstract, and then they always want to preach equality as far as, the guy that's a walk-on is not going to get paid, so why should the number 1 5-star recruit get paid? Well, guess what? There's a number 1 overall pick, and there's free agents, aren't there? So that tells you that as soon as you get into the real world, it's not going to stay the same anymore. So why perpetuate that thought that, everybody's the same, when we know when we get to these college campuses, everybody's not the same. You don't talk to the superstar player the same way you talk to the guy that doesn't play. You know what I'm saying? And coaches know that. You try to coach everybody the same, but not really. You know what I'm saying? Because you understand that there is a difference in what one person brings to the table. So this kind of just allows that to be a little bit more realistic.
And Jay Bromley bringing up some points here on, Syracuse, Orange, and NFL alum speaking on name, image, and likeness on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora this morning inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Jay, like you stated, you're going to treat your star quarterback differently than you're going to treat your walk-on. And, in the NFL, the number 1 pick in free agency, obviously there's different money and different things going on. But as we look into this world, here's where I see some issues arising. Now, you say they're already treated differently on campus, right? The star football player, quarterback, and this is not me saying it, this is how society has gone, and I'm not saying that it's right. Your star outside mid soccer player is not getting the same respect as your starting quarterback on your football team. Your starting point guard is getting more respect than your lead striker on a volleyball team. So here comes the question. Let's take Syracuse University for an example. Syracuse says, okay, name, image, and likeness, go make money. What happens when the soccer team gets a deal with a law office, and the football team, a couple players from the soccer team get a law office, a couple players from the football team get the same law office. The law office tells the soccer players, we'll give you each $1,000 a year. They tell the football players, we'll give you $10,000 a year. Does that not cause fighting on campus And then let's say that the law office says to Tommy DeVito, we're going to give you 15 grand. And they say to Schrader, who's not, let's say he doesn't start at the beginning of the season, they say we're going to give you 5 grand. And so now do Schrader and DeVito start fighting? What if Schrader becomes the starter? Then does the law office say, okay, we're going to take the 5 from Tommy and give that extra 5 to Schrader because we're not going to back a backup? Where does the infighting stop if everybody's looking for sponsorships and everybody's looking for opportunities and they treat different sports differently and different players within the sport differently? Then does this not cause infighting? Does it not cause competition to go to a different level? And do players not start fighting in practice? Do players of different teams not start fighting on campus in the middle of class? How do we corral the fact that if everybody's after money, and we know that money is the root of all evil, how does Syracuse or any other university stop there being jealousy and envy and obviously retaliation because of it?
Honestly, to me, that's not even a question of that happening. Honestly, to me, because it's like you're painting a picture of what already exists in real life, right? Like the reality of it is a contractual agreement. So if the soccer team goes in there and says, "Hey, man, I agreed to this $1,000," shut up and take your $1,000. You know what I'm saying? Because you already agreed to it, so it doesn't matter what he signed. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's no different than the contracts in the NFL. This guy signs a $50 million. Look, the freaking starting deep, JPP, might be getting $15 million a year. The guy behind him might be making $800,000. Guess what? If JPP gets hurt and this guy has to play the starter reps for the year, does he get $15 million? No, he doesn't. He get what he signed. You know what I'm saying? So, and he gets bonuses based on whatever's in the contract agreement. So I don't look at it as something that causes, that jealousy, yeah, it doesn't matter. You sit on your jealousy. You be mad that you're not as good as the next guy. Maybe that'll make you work harder, and maybe you'll get as good as the next guy. That's life. So I think that's a part of the interesting aspect of it. It kind of helps speed up that process of life for them. Because in the 4 years you're in college, some 5 for some players, it's kind of like a winter wonderland kind of thing where, you know, you got your scholarship, it's pretty much guaranteed. You're going to be there. You got an opportunity at least to get your degree, and hopefully you're playing. Some guys get so comfortable, they don't even play. They're just comfortable on scholarship. They kind of do practice and all that just so they can keep their scholarship. They really don't care about playing. And that happens on every single campus. I don't care where you go. Eventually guys fall into that for multitude of reasons. So, as far as trying to keep that headspace of not confrontation, I don't think it's going to be any confrontation at all. Like, you honor what you signed. You honor what you signed. You don't sit there and look at what the next man's making. And if you do like that, or you do think that that's a good amount of money, well, you need to look at what he's doing. Are you producing like he's producing? Are you as good as he is? Right? And if you are, then you might say, let me try to renegotiate. That happens all the time in sports. So why act like it's some type of taboo or something that's like weird when it comes to this? Like, literally, they're taking amateurs and giving them an opportunity to be professionals in a certain degree. So guess what? They're going to be entangled in everything that the professionals are entangled with. That's what different. Guess what? When you get to the NFL, freaking D linemen and O linemen don't get the big Nike deals like that. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're the stud defensive ends and stud guys. You don't get the offensive players get all the merchandise for the most part, right? Even the ones that are not great. So even if you can have a free agent that gets paid more than a 5th round draft pick just because the coach cared about him that much. Like, so it's not fair. So you don't even try to fight for fairness. Fight for what you're worth. And then continually, gradually get better with that.
That coming here from Jay Bromley and Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora this morning inside the Cafe Kubal studios. Let's say in the situation, let's go back to the quarterback situation. There's an open opportunity at quarterback, let's say at Ohio State, and there's 4 guys. And each of those guys reaches out to the same restaurant. And the restaurant says, I think person A is going to get the job. So they say, all right, we'll sponsor all you guys. We love you all. But we're going to give person A 20 grand. And we're going to give the rest of you guys 5. Then person B ends up becoming the starter, now the company says, well, we look like idiots. All of our commercials have you on it. All of our commercials are you saying to eat here, and you're the backup quarterback. You threw 15 interceptions in the first 3 games, and you might never play a down again, and we're caught in this for a year. We're a laughing stock as a restaurant that paid you $20,000, and now you're the face of our restaurant when the actual quarterback that got the job is not the face of our restaurant, and he's doing great, and he's phenomenal. Does the restaurant go in there and pressure the school and say, we want out of this contract, or we want to shift the money to somebody else? How does it work the other way around from the player? Because a contract is a contract, but you and I both know, Jay, people break contracts all the time, whether it's handshakes or it's signatures, and no restaurant's going to want to back the backup quarterback. So what do they do in that situation?
At the end of the day, like you said, I mean, it comes down to what was signed. If it was agreed, look, you made the bad choice, restaurant. Shut up. You want to buy him out and then start paying the other guy more and get him in some commercials? That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. Like, it's really not that complicated. Or, like you said, they stop paying. Guess what? Now he gets to sue. Right? Now he gets to sue them for not paying because they broke a contractual agreement. Yeah, people break contracts, but people don't just get away with it all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, now it might be costly to go through the process of trying to get that money back. I understand that. But the reality of it is no different than, let's say, Deshaun Watson. Like, when these companies sign these players, and we don't know what he did or didn't do, right? But they sign these players, and they have an expectation that hopefully they're going to do well in the image of their company and uphold that. Now, if they don't, what do? They cut the deal, right? But guess what? Somewhere in that contract it said that, hey, man, if you become socially unacceptable, basically, we get to kind of cut this and not pay you or cut it at some point. So that's all contractual jargon, that's going to be in there. So every company that's sponsoring an individual is taking a chance on that individual succeeding or not succeeding. You know what I'm saying? And they know that. And they're basing the success based on the rate of success that person had prior. So they're gambling 100%, but they know that it's an educated gamble because this person's been good for X amount of time, or they're a 5-star recruit. So it's back to business, back to the basics of business, and just making an observation and saying, hey, man, all right, it didn't work out. So what? Well, now we're not going to know. We're going to uphold our contract. We're going to make better decisions going forward about how we assess guys. Or we put different things inside the contract that can be legally binding, that we can break these contracts based on performance.
And then you look at, okay, so they keep the contract. Let's say a business owner sits on the board at a school. Let's say they're a business owner in the community and they also sit on the board, so they have the ear of the chancellor or the president, whoever. And they say, hey, we just backed these 2 guys on the basketball team, and they're suspended. Well, this is a big week for us. This is a big push. We need them to play. If boosters are business owners and board of trustees people and whatnot are business owners, and they start to pressure universities to do things a certain way based on who they backed, then what are we looking at?
We're looking at college football the way it is today, I guess. Like these conversations are interesting, but they're really not that complicated. This stuff happens anyway. So, like, why do they call him a booster? He's not boosting, paying for the freaking kids. He's boosting the university. You know what I'm saying? He's boosting. That means you ever play a video game, you hit the boost button? What does that mean? You get turbo blasted forward.
Yeah.
Right? You're no longer going the same mile per hour as the guy next to you. You're boosting ahead. So with that understanding, that's what they do. They pay for the boosting. They pay for the new sports facilities. And why? Because they have some type of vested interest based on the fact that they went there, right? And they're just prideful people that like to see their names on walls, right? And when they make so much money outside of whatever it is that they like, sometimes it's kind of like playing cards to them. They just want to win the hand. So when I look at that stuff, it's like, man, like, the truth is most of this stuff is happening anyway. The beauty is that you take away the penalization of the individuals for it, like the Heisman's being taken away, or different opportunities, banners being taken away, guys being scrutinized before they get to the pros because of what they did in college. Take away all that, man. Let's be honest that this stuff is real, and let's just let it go, right? And let's stop trying to act like everybody's the same. Everybody's not the same. So let's stop treating them like they're the same. Like, give them the same workout. Some people are going to be stronger than others. Give them the same workout. So that's life. Now let's sit back and watch how it unfolds.
And as we sit back and watch how it unfolds, do we hire financial advisors? Do we hire do players, should they have agents? Should they have people representing them? Because they have to go to school, because they have to play the sport. Their time, as you know, is already taken up. So do they hire an agent to represent them? Do they have a lawyer to represent them? Do they need a financial advisor now? What should they have? What do they need to have? And does the school provide it? Does the NCAA provide it? Do they provide their own? How do they look at that? Because obviously someone's going to handle the money coming in and going out, and someone's going to hopefully advise them on not to spend it all immediately. So how do we work that out?
I mean, it's the best interest of the school to at least give them more financial literacy courses focalized on, creating a criteria based on exactly what's going on, and then informing the guys what's necessary. So saying, okay, well, this money can be made. This is exactly what name, image, likeness up is. This is exactly where the money resources can come from. And these are the things that you might need, whether it be a financial advisor, whether it be an accountant, whether it be a agent, right? Because I don't know. Can you sign to an agent when you're in your first year of college because of this rule now? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. So and even if so, you don't really need you don't need an agent. Can you get a marketing person because it's name, image, and likeness? So are you really signing to a marketing agency? You know what I'm saying? So there's those questions have to be answered, but I think it's the due diligence of the college to inform the athletes, right? Because you telling me this is a school, this is a place of higher learning, this is a place of education. Well, guess what? Now we done rolled in a whole different aspect of life. You need to educate me on this because I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. So if you don't educate me on this, that tells me that you don't give a damn about me because you're not making the money. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not getting a percentage of it. So, and that tells me everything I need to know. Now I got to go out and get my own financial advisor. A lot of kids come from poverty. A lot of people come from poor neighborhoods. Their parents ain't never had no money. So how do they really get explained how to deal with, getting handed 25, 30,000 while they in college or freshman year, to go play ball, while meanwhile still being on everything you were able to benefit from as far as having just a scholarship in general. So I think it'll be a lot of Ferraris and stuff on campuses nowadays. There's going to be a lot more nicer cars. They had nice cars back then. You know what I'm saying? But now it's really going to be interesting.
Well, the thing is, I think to take a step aside for a second here, you bought yourself a nice car when you got your signing bonus, I believe is what. Did you buy one for you and your mom?
No, I was able to buy one for myself, man. I bought I bought me a Cadillac Escalade. That was the first car I ever bought.
Yeah, because I know that your parental guardians and whatnot. I didn't know if you had gotten another one, but I remember seeing the picture where you had gotten one. So hindsight 2020, getting that money, getting the paycheck, and buying a Cadillac Escalade, good or bad? Do you regret it or not regret it?
Oh, I don't regret it at all. I think you worked so. That was kind of like the fulfillment in the moment of working so hard. And then having an opportunity to buy something that you wanted, and being able to embrace that. So I don't regret it at all. It was a great feeling to be able to do that at 22 years old, something like that.
And it's interesting that you mention that, because when I was at the camp at SUNY Cortland for the New York Jets for 5 years, I remember when you walked into camp, we had to park way back and walk as the media. But inside the gate was where the players parked, and it was literally, it was like white Cadillac, black Cadillac, black Cadillac, white Cadillac, and it was just huge vehicles, beautiful cars, and Lincolns, Cadillacs, whatever it may be, And that seemed to be the one of choice. And like you said, you're able to afford that for yourself. You go out and get it. You said there's going to be nicer cars on campus now. What is your advice, having gone through it, having been a professional athlete, having gotten a ton of money, more money than you had ever seen? What is your advice to student athletes now getting this money potentially? Because I'm sure that there was ups and downs for you. There's ups and downs for everybody. You get the money, you think, okay, I can, you feel compelled to say, I want to buy this, I want to go here, I'm going to go on this vacation, whatever it may be. So what's your advice to teenagers that could potentially get $30,000? What would you say to them?
I know everybody's like, save your money. I mean, and there's an aspect of that. There's a certain amount that, I think ideally people would say, save, about 20% of what you make, right? And when I say save that, I mean save that to invest it, right? Meaning like, if you leave $100 under your mattress in a year, that $100 is worth less because of inflation. So you lose money when you just save it, and obviously if you leave it in the bank, you're not earning enough interest to outpass inflation. So these are financial literacy terms that I've learned over time that I realize that in order for me to outpace inflation, in order for me to actually make money while I'm not doing anything, I have to be able to invest money. And there's only a few ways you invest money. You invest in real estate, you invest in, stocks and bonds, you invest in businesses, right? And obviously cryptocurrencies is kind of its own thing, similar to a stock and bond, right? You're buying a part of an entity. So, learn about that stuff. Just get familiar with it, whether it be YouTube or whether it be, friends and family members that do these things that you can kind of ask questions and nitpick their brain about, whether it be flipping houses, buying holds, foreclosures, whatever it is, and understand what stocks and bonds are. Understand what savings accounts are, what credit unions are. Like, just understand that the world money is a machine and it's working around you. How do you put your money in that machine to start working for you as well, rather than you just spend it all? So, like, I've been fortunate. Like, if I would have been smarter with my money earlier, I've saved more, I've made more money or accumulated more money as I've not played football than I had when I was playing football. You know what I'm saying? Because of investing. So it's about being smart with your money and then learning, okay, how do I figure out how to make more money in utilizing the talents and gifts and abilities that God has given me? That'll always be, the next thing in multiple streams of income. And that's what investing is another stream of income. So to shorten it down a bit, it's like, man, just get educated. Get educated, man. I spend a lot of time just watching YouTube videos, crash courses on finances and literacy of these things, just to learn about the terminologies. And then I have a financial advisor that I ask questions to learn about these things. Because whether you play professionally or not, taxes are going to be important. How much money you make is going to be important. Cost of living is going to be important. And figuring out how to minimize your taxes is going to be important. Like, figuring out ways it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you actually keep.
Yeah.
So that is probably one of the biggest things. It's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. And you being able to figure that out and then being able to utilize the different things that are in place for you to figure out how to keep your money, right? Like, people always talk negatively about billionaires and millionaires, but they understand the game. And what you should do is figure out the rules of the game and play to win. And forget what people talk about, because their rules are there for a reason, and they're there for people to win that actually understand them.
That coming from Jay Bromley this morning. Figure out the rules of the game and play to win. Syracuse Orange and NFL alum here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. Jay, before I let you go, Mark Emmert, as I said to Eric Crume earlier here on the show, Mark Emmert, the president of the NCAA, had said during Corona that he has no jurisdiction. The NCAA has no jurisdiction. There is no czar of the NCAA to make decisions on whether or not an institution should play college football or a conference should play college football. If the president of the ruling body over collegiate athletics says that they have no jurisdiction to start or stop an institution from playing, I have two questions for you. Does that mean that the NCAA president has essentially said to us he is the president of nothing, number one? And number two, if he can't stop a school or a conference from playing, how can he stop a player or a coach through a suspension? Those are my questions.
I think they're pretty straightforward. I mean, you're basically saying that a guy comes out and says he has a title but no authority. And there's no reason for that. The whole point of a title is it comes with authority.
Right.
A garbage man has authority to go to your home and take the things that you are disposing of. So when I go outside and I see a garbage man taking my garbage, I'm not surprised because he has the authority to do that. But if I go outside and I see the mailman taking my garbage, I'm a little bit more, it's a little more peculiar. I'm like, hey man, what you doing? You dumpster diving? So it's the authority comes with the title. So when you have a title and it goes to him saying, oh man, I don't have this authority, it's like, all right, what is your use then? Tell me what you can do. How about that? You know what I'm saying? So it just puts that frame on it where it's like, man, you guys are kind of been making money off of athletes. Now you kind of want to come out and say that you have no authority. It's like, okay, that's fine. It's kind of like you taking away any responsibility based on what you might perceive to happen next.
And when you hear that, if there is no authority to stop institutions and conferences from playing, then if you were playing right now and you heard the president of the NCAA say that to you, and they said, Jay Bromley, you broke an NCAA policy, you can't play this week, do you just shrug your shoulders, laugh, and play anyways, knowing that if they can't stop the school and they can't stop the conference, why can they stop you?
You do whatever. If they have no authority to stop you, you go and do what you need to do. You go and play. Like that's like the cop trying to pull you over and he doesn't have the ability to do so. It's like, man, or a guy coming with a fake badge saying, pull over, man, it's a citizen's arrest. You're like, man, get out of here, man, I'm going home. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and that's the thing. In the NCAA, a billion-dollar industry, being a non-for-profit, having been a player in collegiate athletics, hindsight 2020, seeing it as a grown man now, looking back on your time playing, and like you said, being a sponge, researching and just getting information, what are your thoughts on the NCAA model?
Say it again, I'm sorry.
What are your thoughts on the NCAA model, having seen what it was like to be a student athlete, having heard the words of the president saying, I have no jurisdiction, the president of the NCAA saying that when it comes to college football and whatnot, looking back, hindsight 2020, on your time playing and just being a sponge and the information you've taken in, how do you view the NCAA model?
I mean, the model's been, flaky from the beginning, right? It's been something that they kind of, paraded around as an opportunity for athletes to get an education, but they utilize that as an opportunity for them to make money. And granted, both sides benefited because without the NCAA, players couldn't go professionally, or maybe not go professionally as fast, or so many different nuances to it. Obviously, with the NBA, look, at first they can go right from high school. Then they made them go to school for a year, which made no sense because now you're telling me it's not about the education because I'm leaving. You know what I'm saying? So there's obviously things that it wasn't like about maturity. You know what I'm saying? Well, how much more mature are you at 19 than 18? Right? So these things were all, just stupid things put in place just so people can make money for that year, X amount of time to keep the system rolling. So do I think you do away with the system? I don't think that's true. I think the system has a purpose. There's way more kids and people from poverty that go through the system are fortunate enough to get an education and able to prolong their lives and up their salaries and go to grad school, all these different opportunities and meet people. And way more people do that. Only 1% of people play in the NFL. Play in the NFL, let alone play multiple years and get vested. So that 99% of people in the NCAA aren't even never going to really even play in the NFL over a year. So they're getting degrees, they're meeting people, they're meeting their wives. You know what I'm saying? They're building lives outside of the game. So it's purposeful, especially because a lot of people come from poverty, can't afford those scholarships. So it's a beautiful thing and how it helps a lot of people. I'll give it that because I'm one of those people, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity. But we can't just take the good and then sweep under the rug the indentured servitude that basically happens based on the amount of time, the amount of effort that's being put into something that people aren't really being compensated for. So I think that this is a step in the direction of kind of allowing people to earn what they're worth and allowing them to, go forward and enjoy the fruits of their labor.
So now they have this opportunity to step forward. Let's say your child wants to play and name, image, and likeness is out there. There's an opportunity for that. What advice do you give to your child that you took from your own personal life? To go one step further from everything you said, what do you say to your own child about what you learned about the game of being a student athlete and how to win it?
The game of being a student athlete and how to win it, stay locked in, man. I mean, I only have the opinion of what I experienced, and my experience is stay locked in. When everybody else was going to spring break, I wasn't. I was locked in. I stayed in for Maymester. I took those extra classes to graduate. I stayed overtime, and study table to get things done. I sat there with a tutor for hours at a time to get certain classes done. Stay locked in, man. And I still had an opportunity to enjoy my college experience. So it wasn't like I just didn't do anything. So it was like, man, just stay locked in, man. Like, keep the main thing, which is, if you want to play in the NFL, then understand that that's going to take a sacrifice. It's going to take you not being like everybody else. You can't be on spring break like everybody else, especially depending on your talent level. Yeah. So the more less talented you are, the more you got to put into work more than everybody else. And the more talented you are, that shouldn't be the case that you put in less work. But we all know that you get away with more. So, I just, I'll raise that based on what I know about my sons, but I always teach them hard work ethic, gratitude, humility, and really just being able to let the janitor know that you're the hardest working man in the room because he's the guy that's watching you when everybody else is home for a week during spring and you don't want to go home because you'd rather be somewhere where you can lock in, So that's my kind of thought process about it.
That coming here from Jay Bromley. Jay, final note here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Cafe Cubal studios. Players getting paid for name, image, and likeness. Does that keep a player in college longer with guys wanting to go pro and women wanting to go pro and make money? Does this model, albeit a very confusing, multi-layered lasagna, as I call it, with more questions than answers right now, does it help universities keep players longer if they can stand to make money? Because as you know in the NFL, whatever your contract says, that's not necessarily what it is. It's what's your signing bonus or what is your guaranteed money. It might say $100 million, but your guaranteed is $70. And how much is your signing bonus? $35. Okay. And then can they trade you after 4 years? And is there a no-trade clause? And do you have this or do you have that? Is there a player option? Is there a team option? We know that all of that goes within it. So putting that all in, does this help a university or a college to keep a player around longer if they stand to make money?
100%. I think because you get a local market. In a local market, the people that know you, the people that, are coming to the games, those people have been there for 40, 50 years. There's mom and pop shops making good money. Like, man, that allows especially the not supreme guys that they can afford to be comfortable with being around for a little bit longer, So I think that definitely does it. The top tier guys, they won't stick around. There won't be enough money in it. Won't be enough money in it for the most part. Not when you can go make millions in the NFL. So, but those mid-tier guys and later guys, like, it could be comfortable enough for them to stick around another year or two.
And Jay, in your story, no star, 1 star, offers, anything coming in last second. Personally, having to deal with stuff in life, what can you say about your story that, you don't have the traditional family? On top of that, you weren't highly recruited, yet I call you after you got drafted in the 3rd round, and I get to hear you say, "We did it, baby," and I get to hear you get excited, and I get to hear you get emotional. How did all this happen? Bring me into that. You talked about staying locked in and being with it. You were one of those kids that was left for dead in some ways, and there's a lot of kids that feel that way. They feel forgotten, they feel overlooked, they feel invisible. What do you say to all the overlooked, forgotten, invisible kids, no matter how old they are? They could be 50 years old feeling invisible. What's your advice to them?
It's not about, what others, or a system or stars or whatever. It's not about being perceived in a certain way. If you think that these people that are making decisions, as far as whether it be general managers or whether it be ADs or whether it be scouts, if you think they know everything or they see everything, they have no idea. They have no idea the work that you put in. They have no idea the sacrifice that you make. They have no idea the circumstances that you come from. They have no idea how you had to compartmentalize life in order to even be successful because of your circumstances. So when I think of that myself, it's like, man, it's like, what won't I do, to get to the next level and to sacrifice, right? So it's like, man, when you feel overlooked like that, it's like, man, don't even worry about it. You don't need a million people to believe in you. You need one person to believe in you, and that's the person looking in the mirror. Because if you truly dedicate yourself to putting in the work, putting in time, sacrificing, shoot, I used to just watch highlights of freaking the best players in college and watch their YouTube versus games and just try to imitate them. I tell people this all the time, man, like, imitate the greats. Like, watch them, learn them. There's certain things you can't do, but there'll be a decent amount of things you can do. And you can learn a lot just by watching people. So, man, don't get down on yourself, man. One thing I've learned in the NFL was, man, the moment you let somebody take away your confidence, you might as well hang up the cleats, because you allowed them to take away something that they didn't give to you. They didn't make you a good football player. And a lot of times, honestly, by the time you get to the NFL, there ain't that many coaches that are good at developing you to get you better. It's kind of like come as you are, and you getting better is based on you, not based on the guy they hired. You know what I'm saying? So once you know that, you start taking more inventory of what you do and how you got here, and then you stick to those roots and you figure out ways to evolve in that way. But don't get so caught. Don't let anxiety and fear and looking at the house next door kill you when you realize that, man, God didn't have that plan for you. Everybody's not gonna make 100 million. Maybe God's plan for you is so much different. Maybe it is 1 million. Maybe it's 5 million. Maybe it's 1. Maybe you can't play 10 years. Maybe you play 2 years. But maybe you learn something in that time that helps gravitate you, and carries you to the next opportunity, right? Mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So I would just say that, man, don't get caught up in everything that you experience, man. Realize that there's purpose in it. Realize that a lot of that is you creating all these different mental blocks, and you got to get out your own way.
And when we make these decisions, some people believe that God guides you to a decision. Some people think that you make the decision on your own. Where does God land with everything? Do you feel that God can speak and help you make a decision in some way, shape, or form? How do you feel when you say some guys play 10 years, some 2 years, some make 100 million, some make 1 million, some make 100,000? How do we know when we're hearing the voice of God? And do you believe that God helps you make a decision?
How do we know? We know we're hearing the voice of God is speaking to people in different ways. The voice of God can speak through people. The voice of God can speak through images. The voice of God can speak through different circumstances. Most times sometimes we experience things that we weren't supposed to because of our own nature, our own inability to stay away from wickedness and things that aren't good for us. But as far as, God is with you every day, man. Every day he wakes you up and gives you an opportunity, right? Every day is mercy from God. So in that, man, he's watching you and he's with you and he's hopeful every single day that you decide to give him grace and honor, right? Because he woke you up today. So as far as that goes, it's like, man, I realized that, he's been with me my entire life, every step. And guess what? He never saw me going through pain, whether I did it, whether I called for it myself or I did it. He never just snatched me out of it. The pain would leave when it was done teaching me what I needed to learn. And that's a hard truth to learn in life, but it's a truth that actually helps you. because suffering is the only thing that actually promotes change in most cases, not love. So when you learn that, that's why, you know, a lot of people can come from hard beginnings and make it out of those situations, because suffering produced something that they were willing to ultimately give up everything for. So, you know, God is always talking. The problem is we hinder our ability to hear.
So how do we open up our ears?
By following his word, honestly, man, by believing that Jesus Christ is Lord, and figuring out, reading his word and getting around a group of people that can hold you accountable to his word and the way he called us to do in life. And then, you know, really putting down the wicked things of our heart, our sin that really hinders our ability to hear. Because, man, at any moment he could be speaking to us to love a person, to help a person, you know, to put down something and pick something else up. And the only way we do that is if we can hear. But, you know, our sin hinders our ability to hear God, but it doesn't hinder God speaking.
Big words coming from Jay Bromley this morning. Jay, as always, I appreciate it. Gave me chills on that last one. But Jay Bromley, Syracuse Orange and NFL alum, speaking on name, image, and likeness, and so much more, and more importantly, faith here to round things out on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Cafe Kubal Studios. Man, you reminded me two things. Number one, you need to come back on here more. Number two, you and I need to have some off-the-air fireside chats, because the faith stuff is definitely something worth talking about that goes well beyond. So I would love the opportunity to have you back on here soon. I appreciate every time you come on to Wake Up Call. And more than that, you know, I think friend to friend, I owe you a fireside chat.
Hey, it's all love, Dan. I would love to have that chat, man. Like you said, it's the most important part of our lives. And I'm grateful for you having me on your show again. Thank you.
Yeah, man. So take care, stay blessed, and I'll look forward to talking with you soon.
Talk to you soon, Dan. Thank you.
Take care. That coming from Jay Bromley here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Sin and things that we do cloud it, right? What did he just say? God is always talking, but when we sin and we do things that aren't right, we can't hear him. But he's always talking. We just can't hear him when we get in our own way. So sometimes you got to take a step back and you got to hear him. You got to hear him. And pain doesn't leave you until it's done teaching you, and suffering teaches you things. You know, that's stuff that people don't want to hear this morning, but it's so true. Suffering teaches us how to grow. What did I say on the show numerous times? We learn from adversity. You learn from it. If everything was easy, you wouldn't learn anything. But we learn from adversity. We learn from adversity. We learn from trials and tribulations, from strife. We learn from adversity. Because it helps you to know who you are. It helps you to understand who you are. You have to put your feet in the fire in order to get it. If every single day the pool felt nice and it was a 70-degree pool and it was cool and it was fine to swim in and whatnot. No, sometimes the pool's too hot and sometimes the pool's too cold, but sometimes you have to swim anyways. And take it from a man who went to Long Beach Island in New Jersey and went polar bear swimming in March during March Madness. Sometimes you have to swim to face your fears. Sometimes you have to do the thing that's hard to do. I swam in water that was 41 degrees. I thought my heart stopped. But it's one of the greatest stories of my life because I did it. I did it, and I trusted myself, and I trusted God, and I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. Why am I so afraid to do this? It's water. It's water. It's water, and it's cold. I've had cold water on my hands before. I've had cold water on my body before when the shower gives out the cold water, somebody flushes the toilet or something. Why can't I do this? It's in adversity that we grow. It is when we are pushed to our limits that we realize who we are. We realize where we're failing and we realize where we're succeeding. When you are pushed to your limits, what do? Do you lose control or do you keep it? When you're pushed to your limits, do you grow or do you rescind? Do you run back? When God is asking you to evolve, what do? Because fear is the devil's lie. And I say it on the show all the time. Fear is the devil's lie. Fear is the thing that keeps us from the things that we want. It's fear. Fear keeps us from what we want. If fear led me, I would never have started my own company. If fear led me, I would never be a broadcaster, putting my voice and my face out there, my name, image, and likeness out there. If fear led me, I would have no partnerships with any businesses. I'd be too afraid to ask. If fear led me, I would never be willing to fall in love. If fear led me, I'd never want to be a husband or a father. If fear led me, I would give up every time the going got tough. The people that make it in this world, truly make it, truly evolve in this world, are the people that are willing to try, willing to have adversity, willing to face it, and willing to grow. There is not... Look at every movie you have ever watched. Look at Marvel as an example. What, 23 movies in, about to be 24? With Black Widow, finally. We've waited, what, 2 years? A year and a half? Whatever it is. Looking at Marvel alone. Black Widow became a hero, but her backstory was adversity. Iron Man became a hero, but he was almost killed, and he had to literally work and create and use his mind and use his heart to create something good. And when he only used his mind, he was unsuccessful. And when he sacrificed himself on the line, his brain would say, don't kill yourself. His heart said, this is for everybody. And Robert Downey Jr., in and of himself, the actor himself, he was down and out. He went through adversity. He could have given up. He could have died. He could have never gone to rehab. But he did it. And look at what he did. Did he know back then how successful he was going to be? Did he know back then that he was going to be arguably the most notable face in Marvel? No. He probably didn't even know where his next meal was going to come from at certain points. So, when you watch these movies, no success story, every Disney movie has tragedy. Every children's movie by Disney has a tragic moment. Bambi, Finding Nemo, Lion King, tragedy. And what is born out of tragedy? Triumph. What is born out of pain? Prominence. Success. What is born out of hate? Love. You can decide your future. You can decide at the fork roads of life, do I follow my fear or do I face adversity? And I can promise you that people that succumb to fear will never reach their true potential. They will never truly be happy, professionally or personally. But the people that actually go after it, the people that actually try, the people that are willing to put themselves on the line, understanding that it's not going to be easy, they can make it. It's not easy to have a wife. It's not easy to have a husband. It's not easy to own a business. It's not easy to be a D1 basketball player, football player, volleyball player, whatever. It's not easy to be a singer that has 1 million copies sold, 2 million copies, 10 million, 100 million copies sold. It is not easy to live life. But how many of us are living and how many of us are just here? There's a difference. There's living and there's thriving. There's just getting by and there's going after it. And sometimes the things that scare us the most are because something inside of us is telling us it's worth the jump. And I take a line out of the movie Hitch. When he said, we jump and hope to God we can fly, or else we're wondering the entire way down, why in the hell did I jump? I believe I could fly. I hope you do too. We'll take a step aside for a fast break, and we will be back right after this to wrap up Wake Up Call and let you know our newest partner in the community.
Cafe Cabal Mobile Cafe brings the cafe experience to you. We'll roll out to your neighborhood or office, ready to serve our locally crafted espresso bar to our loyal patrons. Inquire at cafecubal.com. Cafe Cubal, coffee for the soul.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, located on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, is home to over 40 flavors with more than 200 flavors in their total wheelhouse. Sky's the limit for this sweet and savory Central New York company. Keep it local at your parties, fundraisers, wedding showers, baby showers, and more by calling 315-450-MA-PA. That's 315-450-6272 for popcorn bars with custom flavors and colors at your upcoming event. Make sure to visit them on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. And for more information, go to maandpassnacks.com. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? The Millhouse Market on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York is worth the drive every single time. Appreciate the fact that we have the opportunity with the Millhouse Market to give back to such an amazing local business that cares so much about the community, so much so that all of their sandwiches on the menu are named after the families that helped to settle today's Pulaski. They not only are in Pulaski, they believe in the fabric of Pulaski, in the history of Pulaski. Built and ingrained in our taste buds, ingrained in our community. The Millhouse Market is extremely a beautiful place to go to. The food is exquisite, and no matter what you get, the most difficult thing to ever do when you download the app on the Google Play or Apple App Store is deciding between what you're going to get, because so many things are good on the menu. And when you try something new and go, I'll give this a chance, then that ends up becoming a favorite, and then that makes the decision even more difficult on top of being difficult. Well, I'm excited about all the difficult decisions I have to make about the Millhouse Market, because it means that the food is good, it means the service is good, and it means that the way they go about it is good as well. With a drive-up window that allows you to grab your food and go, contactless pay on the app, and you can tip on the app and do everything there. They make it easy for you to get your food. The app has the entire menu, a map of direction on how to get there. All you have to do is plug in where you are, so it'll take you to the Millhouse Market from wherever you are on the app. And it'll tell you the approximate time to pick up, and you can look at the entire menu and pay for everything right there. From that to their general store that has local products from local companies outside of merely the Millhouse Market to support other businesses in the area, and their indoor dining, they truly make it worth the drive every single time to 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York. And you can go there Tuesday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and on Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Avicoli is located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, is our home for our Liverpool Warriors athletic shows. Head out to Avicoli's every single month to see us support the community and support the community yourself. Open Tuesday through Sunday. They're there for you for lunch, dinner, and drinks, and they have 4 different ways to experience one restaurant by either eating on the pizza casual side or in the fine dining side, or to go up to the bar or have outdoor dining now that the weather's so nice. You can also order takeout, delivery, and catering by calling 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100, and go to myavicolis.com. Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding, your home for your furry-loving friend. Listen, when it comes to Lily, you know I care about her, and I love her as my daughter. I want to make sure she's taken care of if I need some help, either for the day or for a longer extension of time. Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding, led by Lorraine Perry and the entire team, are truly amazing at what they do. They treat your dog like it's part of their family, and they go through the process of making sure that all the dogs they bring in are good to be with each other. They bring you through a temperament and have to ask questions and shots and everything. It's not just bringing your dog, dropping them off, and that's it. These are people who care. They go through a process to make sure that your dog is going to be safe and that your dog is going to feel comfortable where they are. They want your dog to feel like they're at home, away from home. And that's why Canine Campground Dog Boarding and Canine Camp Dog Daycare of East Syracuse, right off of Bridge Street, are 2 incredible places to bring your dog to. The campground is on 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, and the dog daycare is on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse. PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck you love to eat at, is now a cafe that you can go to. So you follow the food truck all throughout central and upstate New York, and now when you're craving the food, you have a cafe that you can go right to. Open Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily. PB&J's Lunchbox for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Minutes from the Thruway as well as the highway, and from Destiny USA and Onondaga Lake Parkway. You can find PB&J's Lunchbox, home of the award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and so much more. And their outdoor dining is now open at the Streetside Cafe, 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Find PB&J's new Streetside Cafe. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, a place that I've trusted for almost a decade to help me heal from my injury and have a strong quality of life. Anybody that knows, speaking on adversity, anyone that knows adversity knows that it takes time. Step by step, it is a process to go through life and be successful and find your way to victory. Well, Victory holds your hand through that process. And be it rehab, physical therapy, as well as preventative care and surgery, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics listens to their patients and wants you to know why they're doing what they're doing, and they help you through it. Led by Dr. Mark Petropoli, the entire team at Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, they care about their patients, they know their patients, they remember their patients, and they walk you through the steps it's going to take on the way to victory. They don't cut corners, and they listen to you. Those are two massive things when it comes to finding a doctor that you can trust. Call 315-685-7544. That's 315-685-7544 to make your appointment today. With that being said, inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. It is now time for me to officially unveil my newest partner here in the community. For those of you that are on our social media, and that's why I tell people to always get to our social media here, when you go to Facebook at Wake Up Call DT and you like the page, or you go to Twitter at Call DT and you follow me there, or you follow me on Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT, however you connect with me, that gives you the opportunity to get the information first. So for those of you that got it, thank you for following, and thank you for liking, and thank you for coming back to my pages all over social media. For those of you that haven't been on it yet, well, I implore you to do so that you can get that. And today, I have the opportunity to take our fireworks from the 4th of July and extend them out this morning to let you know that I am very honored and I am very privileged to welcome our newest partner here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Our family is vast. Our family covers a lot of different areas. And our family is very special to me. This isn't just any old family. This is a team. And having the team that I have, I feel very, very blessed. And this addition to my team makes me feel even more blessed. So with that being said, I welcome officially to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, a company that many of you have come to know. Many of you have come to appreciate. Many of you have come to respect. It's a place that people come and eat at from all over the world. They know this place throughout the country. And they know this name is synonymous with Syracuse, New York, and upstate New York. So with that being stated, I want to welcome them here to the show for the first time ever. And there's a lot of great things that we're going to be doing. So ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce to you the newest partner of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And that partner is Mother's Cupboard. Mother's Cupboard, our newest partner here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Happy to have them here as part of the family. 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York. Home of the whole frittata. Now, some people say frittata, I say frittat. That's what we say in Italian, we say frittat. You know, some people say fritta, frittata, we say frittat. Mother's Cupboard is the home of the whole. It is a place that has seen Man vs. Food come to see it. It's a place that is known nationally and arguably internationally. People from all over come to Mother's Cupboard. When they come into Syracuse, New York, this is the place that they want to try. And I want to welcome them to our family. We'll be doing a lot of cool things with Mother's Cupboard. Obviously, you'll hear them every week here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And you'll see them on our website, wakeupcalldt.com. They'll have their own page on the Central New York tab of wakeupcalldt.com. You can go to the Central New York tab and you'll see Mother's Cupboard. You can click on it like any of our businesses. Their logo and link will be on the homepage of wakeupcalldt.com. They're already on our social media, Facebook at wakeupcalldt, Twitter at calldt, and Instagram at wakeupcall_DT. And on top of those things, we're going to be able to do 2 awesome things at Mother's Cupboard. Every single month, we're going to have a food challenge, and that's going to change every month, and we're going to film it on video. And Wake Up Call is going to get its own daily menu item. And we'll be creating it this week to be added to the menu that you can order any day of the week. You can go to Mother's Cupboard, see the Wake Up Call special on there. You can order it, eat it, take a picture with it, have some fun with it. Mother's Cupboard, just like Wake Up Call, in my company, based here in Central and Upstate New York, but we reach people all over the world. Mother's Cupboard, based here in Central and Upstate New York, reach people all over the world. It's a perfect partnership. It is a perfect fit, and I am honored that Mother's Cupboard said yes. So thank you to Pete. Thank you to Amy. Thank you to Mother's Cupboard, and God bless this partnership and all of our partnerships as we work to build this community together. Big shout out to Mother's Cupboard and to all of our fantastic partners that we have in Central and Upstate New York. Big thank you to our team of Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, Wildcat Sports Pub, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, Avicoli's, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Honda City of Liverpool, Pizza Man, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, PB&J's Lunchbox, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, the Millhouse Market, and Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. We're also very happy, as I said, I mentioned Chick-fil-A. You heard from Chick-fil-A Cicero today. Chick-fil-A Clay, that is right on Route 31, just off the highway. Chick-fil-A Clay, the newest Chick-fil-A in our community, now a part of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and an extension of what Jim Sikowski has already done in such a tremendously awesome and positive and faith-filled way in our community, has now extended from Cicero to Clay, and both of these locations led by owner-operator Jim Sikowski, which means you know that they will be run the right way, owned the right way, and that faith in doing things for the good of the community is going to be paramount. Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay going the extra mile for Central and Upstate New York, doing it with God, doing it with love, and a whole lot of faith. So many thanks to all of our partners, and a many thanks to you for being a part of the show. Make sure you tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora this week and every week on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on facebook.com/livenowdt, on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.com, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, you can find us on our many, many avenues in the app world: Stitcher, Spotify, MixLR, YouTube, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Podbean, and TuneIn. Look up Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. That's Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Look us up there, as well as on any of these avenues. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. In the meantime, no matter what you're going through, no matter how hard today is, if down is up and up is down, I pray for you. I pray for your hopes and your wishes and your dreams. May God bless you with everything that is meant to be yours. And may you have a fantastic day, night, and so on, today, tomorrow, and always. God bless. No stress. Do your best.